Hi daily update ma munyina kwaba. Sese nendidi kana shana so ta shana so subscribe ya. The new book kwan so so be ne sa pepe pa mai se ne bia so sa because so aka de benya na so ide. Ohu de obeye na so ohu de ko bia so bread en fe ni ncheme. Enro a hwe Independence Square ene ma call so a se Ghana for bu fuyi say government etimi abebe cancel show a yana na bidi akwa chese sisi no ono ankasa be declare say ono need the new face and say the new force such say max aba point me brain no e ono ante obi anje ntu say e best stand elections a just eba no organize show a just show no e Peter Obi Erekana Professor Lumumba munyina wo so a e Stonebwoy Reala so ni efia munyina be perform wase a just show no ya organize ya jatum because report about intention say organizers for no echo a government name my government no to me say yes on be show about so on November 2023 na sad and buy but omo hu de year show no be say within hours ago show no be say no government about say or cancel show no the national securities for about say be pam for the everywhere amasisi na kwa jejeja en asenketo na ti right no yenkonkuti de year edesa nsem nyina mu nchichirimo no yenkuti mbra after that no so no Professor Lumumba and also side of the story because about one time I will break silence and asenketo so yenkuti de year edesa nyema we nyina ba.
All right, let's get into some other stories. So yesterday we had what should have been the convention where some stalwarts have been invited, some stalwarts across the continent had been invited to come and speak, especially to Ghanaian youth, the likes of Julius Malema of South Africa, the likes of Peter Obi of Nigeria, the likes of PLO Lumumba of Kenya have been invited to speak. And there's Dr. I've forgotten her name, Arikana, I believe. That didn't come off. I did not see Julius Malema in the vicinity, but that did not come off because military personnel, and I hear national security as well, were on hand to prevent the youth who had massed up there to participate in the event. Of course, also on the bill were some music artists, the likes of Weyala, the likes of Stonebwoy, the likes of Ifya, billed to perform. Now, there are two angles to the conversation. When you look at what the organizers of this event tell us, they said that they had, in fact, sought permission to host this event. I'm just going to bring you a little bit of what they say. They indicated in that statement that government had cancelled the Pan-African event they had organized at the Independence Square in Accra, and that special guests had arrived and thousands of people had come from all over Ghana, as well as from around the globe for that historic event, and that they had just been informed of the cancellation of the event a couple of hours before its commencement. It was approved by the government, according to them, in November 2023, and so it came as a shock to them and a devastation to their dignitaries. And they said they apologized for the inconvenience it may have caused and that they would try to remedy the situation, that it was beyond their control. And you see some youth there yesterday whom we caught on our cameras actually sharing their thoughts. Some of them actually shared their thoughts with us. But on the other hand, and this was made known, this was mentioned when the organizers, N.Addo, among others, spoke. And he says, there was, I think Dr. Arikana made mention of the fact that she had been told that supposedly there was some political ambition to Nana Bediako's whatever. And he clarified there that what he had was a movement. He was an entrepreneur. He was fostering entrepreneurship, which was why he had brought together these people. But he also declared that he was the new force, the face behind the mask. And you've seen, I'm sure, those billboards with the new force and all of that in there. I have struggled to find that line between being political or wanting to launch a political campaign and what he was doing or suggesting, whether that would feed into the politics or not, especially when he was making mention of Akroma and at the Independence Square. But that is exactly the bone of contention, because from what we gather, this was blocked because supposedly it was not meant to be a political event. But in the end, that was what intelligence, government, or national security, or whatever you may call it, had picked. My questions then, what investigations went into this? When someone says, I'm going to host an event, you know exactly what the person is doing. Was there misrepresentation? Did our national security or our security operatives not do their work, for which reason they now think that it was going to be the launch of a political whatever it may be? And once you've granted such permission and you have stalwarts, and these are no mean characters. I admit I didn't see Julius Malema, but you had Dr. Arikana there. You had PLO Lumumba there. You had Peter Obi there, among others. This cast a bit of a slur on us as well. Youth felt aggrieved. But on the other hand, there is our national security.
Tebusha for winning the Koya, a mass and sensing in a P by. I just in the cry the constitutional holiday. I just the whole Ghana, a celebrity our constitution. As I name you as I boom crowd, ama Ghana AJJ, just ama Ghana for NTS. It's a Ghana pan democracy near partisan as a debate. I just say Ghana funny being the NTS way since more the air. So after that, and Professor Lumumba so a kind side of the story, I just say the near brie pa, I just say, on also so as a press air conference no more Ghana or no, didn't know some air the A2B, I just say. Any ye papa by any ye pa says, I sure no intimate the amas yanko, Ninkuti Professor Lumumba Brown also said, I didn't know some air to you.
We came here to Accra, Ghana, to share our message. The message of hope. The message that Africa needs at this time. And there is no better place in the continent of Africa to begin that message than Accra, Ghana. It is in this Accra, Ghana that the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah, almost 67 years ago, spoke to the world and told the world that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the continent of Africa was not free. 67 years later, we were congregating here in Accra in the very same place where the founding fathers and mothers of Ghana congregated to share the message of hope. Invited as we were by the New Africa Foundation, with one single instruction that we have lamented for too long, agonized for too long, and the time is now to organize. That is the innocent message that we came here to deliver. And in a manner totally inexplicable to us, we are not at that venue. But is it not the wise to say, when the world serves you a lemon, ask not for an orange, make yourself lemonade. We are here therefore to say that the message will be alive and well. And you who are here, young and old, you are the conduit via which we are now telling the world that the journey of hope continues apace, not only within the continent of Africa, which is the mother continent, but to Africans in the diaspora. I have no doubt in my mind that there is a conspiracy of sorts by the elements that it should happen the way it has happened. So this is not an occasion for lamentation. It is an occasion for redoubling our efforts and our presence here in Accra, Ghana. My good friend, Honorable Obi, my dear sister, Dr. Rikana Chihomri, wow. This is the occasion for which the English word serendipity was created. It is a serendipitous occasion that heralds a great future for the continent of Africa. So that looking forward, a meeting such as this will happen not only here in Accra, Ghana, but I look forward to a meeting such as this taking place in Ouagadougou in Burkina, taking place in Dakar in Senegal, in Nairobi in Kenya, in Johannesburg in South Africa, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, because this is about the continent of Africa. And we say this at a time when we know that Africa has promised to herself that we are going to make more intimate our interaction. This is why the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is headquartered here in Accra, Ghana. This Accra, Ghana is where all Africans of goodwill pay homage. Because out of this Accra, Ghana, there was a great son, the Usagifo, Kwame Nkrumah. Shall be well with Accra, Ghana. Thank you. Thank you.
What do you think?
I say, even if it was a political event, so what? Since when did organizing a political event a national security problem? Some things can be spontaneous. We all travel abroad and we see how demonstrations sometimes occur. Nobody announces them. You get up, you see something is happening, you write something on your placard, you go and join it, it grows in number. All the police do is adopt. The security system adopts to the situation because the opportunity to express your views, to project your human rights or your rights as a citizen are not periodic. So sometimes you don't have the opportunity to plan them. The opportunity presents itself and you have to act. Our police, our security systems have to be proactive and reactive, flexible, rather than this rigid approach they have used always, that everything you have to do, you have to seek their permission. If 5 people gather somewhere and they want to breathe, they need a permission of the IGP. I think that is disgraceful. The tendency to use their positions to kind of make some people in government feel comfortable, I think it's getting out of hand, and they are making us a laughing stock like they did yesterday there. Let me see, if somebody decides that, okay, he wants to launch a political program and he wants to launch a political career, but he's first of all trying to gain broad consensus by bringing people we know are not partisan in one way. Yes, Peter Obi is, Lumumba is a Pan-African. So you look at those coming to speak, and they are not members of his party. They are not people who are against or NDC or NPP. And nobody was wearing a political cloth at that place there. It is one of the low points of our democracy. And I've been saying that Ghana has become a dictatorship in a democracy. It becomes disturbing that people organize and they want to do an event to talk. How many times haven't Professor Lumumba been to Ghana? So since when does his speeches on views pose a political threat? When was the last time he came and asked a crowd to riot to charge on government installations and so on. No. So I believe that this is just knee-jerk reaction. It is a system of political patronage that we are running in this country, and it's indeed very sad. Everybody has an eventual objective in what they are doing. Even me speaking here, it could be that I'm working on this platform and I expect that one day I could launch a political career, even though it's not my intention. You working there, definitely you have an eventual goal. So if you have to use a very distant possibility to prevent the people from exercising their or drawing on their constitutional rights, it is unfortunate. And I think that the security services, our national intelligence entities must bow their heads in shame that they are reacting rather than being proactive. They are supposed to know ahead of time changes. If they cancel things,
but what if there was misrepresentation? In other words, we come and say this is what we're planning to do, yet we're planning to do something else. What if there was that misrepresentation? And I'm saying what if?
Inviting PL Lumumba.
No, I mean, so you heard even the speakers talk about the fact that he had roped them in with young man, making it, wanting to talk about entrepreneurship and empowering the youth. Let's assume that yesterday, indeed, there had been any plan to launch the new force and that it had political undertones. But that was not exactly what had been communicated from the start. Would that not be misrepresentation?
It's still not a crime. It's not a rally. He didn't say it's organizing a rally. That event is political. The people coming on that form is political. It's just not partisan. And what the man was going to do yesterday, it's not partisan. It may represent some political ideology. Yes, when the projecting your socialist view become a political threat. Because the people I see there are Pan-Africanists, are socialists, and are people that try to represent a new renaissance in Africa. Since when did that become a threat? You see, they say the one that slaughters people doesn't sleep in a supine position. And if you do something wrong, you sleep with one eye open. That is where we have reached now. Government is so paranoid because of its own record, because of its abysmal economic performance, that it thinks that every gathering of market movement can even cause an uprising. That is why it is behaving that way. And I think that the government ought to know that we Ghanaians cherish our democracy more than them. Otherwise, things would have happened long ago. The people, kids, are the ones that safeguard our democracy, not their security services. We love country, and the earlier they come out of this unbridled paranoia and allow this country to go forward, the better.
I noticed that, and as you talk about the image of Ghana, I noticed that one Clemens, who actually is with Al Jazeera, posted something suggesting that Ghana's president was intolerant on X, that Ghana's president was intolerant of divergent opinions. But of course, we always have to listen to both sides to form a proper opinion. Just to cap off on that, though, because there's something else specific to you that I want to ask you as well. When you listen to Nana Bediako, he also makes mention of the fact that he is, and quoting him, nothing to be afraid of, or nobody to be afraid of, and that he is a savior. I found that rather curious. Do you find anything curious about that, his putting forth himself as some sort of savior or messiah?
Yeah, we need one badly in this country. So if he is, I wouldn't mind. But it's personal branding. You see, if you have nothing to fear, you don't have to get worried about somebody saying he's a savior or so on. I don't think that has the ability to disrupt our democracy militarily. He cannot, stage an uprising, stage a coup. So why do you worry about him? If he says he's a savior, he has to go through the election processes. That is if he wants power. If he says he's a savior, he wants to build a new movement, he has to send his message to Ghanaians. He has to motivate several young people to join him. It's a long shot, man. So why do we engage in this kind of knee-jerk reaction and trying to disrupt? Everybody has come and said they are savior. Even the president himself said he was going to be a savior. So I think that it's much ado about nothing.
Okay. Let's spend some 2 minutes focusing on this bid because it points to corruption. It points to some shady activities that some people could be engaged in. And it points to worrying developments in our football at different levels. You posted on social media, Facebook to be specific, in recent times about how, of course, you own Kasalgu Arrowheads and how there had been some attempt to induce you playing, you were offered 50,000 Ghana cedis. Walk us through quickly, but still detailed. Walk us through what happened and what the result was.
Yeah, Ben, I predicted you asked me this question. You are asking, and I think I should have been a better man then, because
it would be remiss of me to have you and not ask that question.
Yes, you see, Ben, one thing about me, and if you come to a university, you ask them about my track record. They'll tell you, I don't like being caged and I don't like being forced. If you call my vice chancellor today and ask him, what does he expect of Mike? He'll tell you, if he has a problem, he'll come to you directly, look you in the face, and say what he has to say. I've always heard these things are going on, but I did not know that they are taking dimensions of organized crime. And you see that I haven't said anything. If I had said what transpired between my setup and these guys, you won't watch anything football from that. I just talked about the tip of the iceberg here. And you see, my team is in the FA Cup. I started this thing because when I moved into this community, I used to buy them the balls. And the kids are playing, and more and more they became good, and eventually I set up Kasalgu Arrowheads. The team has been in phenomenal form. I can confidently tell you that we have some of the best youngsters in this country. And if you were honest with yourself and you come to see the boys, you wonder what they are doing here and not representing Ghana. I've tried my best, talking to everybody. But you see, Ghana football is a patronage system. You have to keep quiet, do certain things before you are rewarded. And I don't care. I will never be that kind of person. If you want somebody who will help you and do things honestly, you can have me. But if you think that I have to patronize you and look the other way before something can happen, I will see.
So, Doc, for the sake of time, I want you to walk us through what happened. Who attempted bribing you? What happened?
I told the GFA about this, so it's not something I have not informed them. The highest hierarchy, I informed them. But we did realize that the actors there are too small players in the
So you were offered 50,000 cedis for your team to lose miserably against Karela United. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
and you refused the 50,000 cedis.
Yes. The issue is that they tried to fix our second FA Cup match with Northern City.
Okay.
When they got in, someone called me and said, they are bringing a business about our match. So I sent my brother-in-law, who is the assistant coach of the team and also the administrator, to go and meet these guys. He goes to meet them, and then they talk about that match. And then they said the odds were still good that we should lose the game. So when he came to tell me, I said, Raf, play along. I want to see how far this thing goes because I'm actually surprised that it's really happened. So it's not only this match they tried to fix. They tried to fix our game against Northern City. And they said because they were a Division 1 club and we are a Division 2 club, we should lose the game. So my brother-in-law told them that it is because of Northern City that we are not in Division 1. So there is no way we can even lose that game to them. And we went to play and we won that game. And they now said, okay, since we have won that game, they now want to see how they can fix our next game.
Which was against what? Which was against Karela?
No.
Was that the game against Karela?
It was against. No, it wasn't yet. That's why I said, Ben, you see, I told Kev these things. The night I told him, he was restless. He wanted to effect arrest immediately. And up to midnight, we were still chatting. And we're like, okay, do we go right there or do we try to get a bigger fish? So they came to tell us, let me tell you how this thing played out and just leave the more damning side because I haven't...
But of course, tell us about the more damning side. That's what we want to know. If there's corruption in our football, of course, we know there are things that have happened. We'd like to know.
You see, I don't want to be disruptive. I want to be constructive here. And, you know, it is only the reason I brought this thing out was because I said I didn't want the match fixed. And these guys went behind me and told me that they can do it without me. That's what they told the guy, that they control up to 60% of referees in Ghana. And that
who was this guy? Who was this guy?
I have mentioned their names because they started threatening me, and that's what my...
Force the year a mass as see Professor Lumumba any economist say lecture with UDS in some of the 2 say they are very disappointed with what happened yesterday because how can I say mobile approve a show and I say a concert in November 2023 because that is the statement on your in November 2023. Na nkrofo etima backgrounds ba ababa support na omombe kase nyina from chrome den aba ya welcome bibia kama show ni baba chance ya yes ya kan si show no yema munye show no just say ohwe press a statement on the bar point say forces na ekuta sa nyama na stop show no it was beyond their control no muntimi ya hwehwe and no social media ko bia Ghana youth because Stone Boy real and if you know my performance na the youth were many na youth no was here pa just omo fuye papa Stone Boy intimate perform if you intimate perform real intimate perform all the speakers na mo free other countries in the society intimate kasa so we are there Ghana for a business so when a grandpa celebrated the constitution a holiday and also the constitution in fact so be empower also celebrated the constitution a boy and as a deal because nipa eba kasa keke look at the message am wo de be kom krom so no be kom krom at my speech ni bi Africans ya base ye one people say the Kwame Nkrumah kind no that's a from chrome with love about Bishia. We na so bit ma record the comment section as well then or drop your comment or the thing be any the course no was bit ma ka wadwen ho we ni na make so Ghana cyber as we speak update be very to so buy the bedroom so men ko ba bia Akroma nyina busu